Alright, so in a couple of weeks, week and a half or so, I'm going to be going on a elk archery hunt in Colorado, opening days in about 10 days, I think, or less. And so this is my third trip, and I kind of wanted to just do a rundown on the gear I have. There's a ton of people online that have, and people have a lot of experience. But a lot of times you'll find that a lot of it is top-end gear. I do not have top-end gear. So I kind of was going to go through what I have for people that are looking to do it a little bit more on a budget. So this is my third trip. I've changed things. I actually did a video a few years ago, I think 4 years ago or so, when I went on my first trip. And I've changed a few things, and I'll talk about that a little bit. I'm not going to get into everything super detailed, maybe a couple things like my tent and pack. Which I always have issues trying to decide on. I actually changed my pack this year, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But something to keep in consideration is that all the stuff I have here, I'm actually flying and going to meet people that are driving. I'm flying to Denver from the East Coast, and I'm meeting with a group of guys that are driving from Illinois, some friends. And they're going to have trailers and trucks, and they're going to have a lot of camp stuff with them. And so most of my stuff is for spiking out, and obviously all my hunting equipment. And so I have to fly with all this. And it's basically, this is all, believe it or not, is going to fit in my bow case and probably 2 backpacks. And that's it. I've done it a couple times, and so I know it works. I tried to go with a little bit smaller and lighter gear this time, just a few things. But a lot has not changed. So I'm going to run through each item here. Remember, this is an early elk season archery hunt, and it's like, I think opening day is like the 30th. We're going to be there a couple days before. So don't really have a lot of heavy equipment, I should say heavy gear. And so there's not a need to have super warm gear with you. It gets down sometimes into the 30s. I'm hoping it will be in the 30s when we go there, but a lot of times it's in the 40s at night and in the 70s during the day, so for those first few weeks. Alright, so I'm going to go through, I think we'll start with my sleep gear. And so my sleep gear, I've had this sleeping bag for a little while, and I don't have the specs on everything. I don't remember the weight. I have it written down somewhere, but this sleeping bag I've had for, God, I forget how long, but quite a while. It's a mummy style bag in a compression sack, and the name of it is slipping my mind, so when I think of this, I'll edit it back in here when I look later and see what the name of it is. But this one, it goes down pretty small. I believe this is a 20-degree bag, I believe, 20 Fahrenheit bag, so which is usually good into the 30s or so. I've had no problem with it. I'll usually wear, something on top and bottom, and use a pair of socks if it's really cold. I think our first trip we went on, it got into like freezing temperatures, and honestly, it was probably a little too cold in this bag, but we slept out in it a few times. My tent. This tent, I love this tent. This was a good steal. This is a Eureka Sun River 2, and you cannot buy this anymore, I believe. This thing comes in, I think it was under 4 pounds, but it's pretty light and it's really easy to set up, and this is a 2-person tent, and I would rather add a little weight to have more room in my tent, especially if you have bad weather. This does have a vestibule. You want it to be able to keep your whole pack inside is pretty important, and have plenty of room to spread out. That first time we went out, we got on the side of the mountain, we got thunderstorms that came in I think it was the first or second night we were out there, and just to have a lot of room in there and be able to stretch out and I'm not a big guy. I'm only 5'7", like 150 pounds, so there was more than enough room. I wouldn't have wanted to have been in a tight 1-person tent just squeezed in there with the rain coming down and trying to keep my gear in there with me. It just wasn't good. The thing that was nice about this was it does have a little vestibule that comes out, and I'd heat up with my jet boil right outside the vestibule and cook something up in the morning, and it worked out really well. And then so what I usually do is I have a small tarp. I used to have like some Tyvek or whatever, and this, I forget what size this is, but this fits. This is pretty much my goes under my tent as my footprint. And it's also nice to have as an extra tarp, like in an emergency situation if you need some cover, you know, just to tie up real quick. But this is like super flat, and I just put this right inside the same sleeve as my my water bag. The one thing I changed this year is I changed my sleeping pad, and you see my old sleeping pad. This was the backside lightweight, which is a great self-inflating pad. But if you can see, the size difference is tremendous. I mean, this maybe could be rolled up a little bit tighter, but I had a hard time getting the air out of this thing. And I bought this a few years ago, and it takes up a lot of space more than anything. It's also heavier than this. So this one is the Big Agnes Air Core that I just picked up, and I got a good deal on it. You just gotta find deals, you know, and get gift codes, and just keep your eye out. And this got pretty good ratings, and this is, you know, it's not a self-inflating, but it doesn't take long. 10 breaths and this thing's full up, and it's really comfortable. There's a release air valve that you can hit once you get on it to lower it down a little bit to get it more comfortable. But big thing for me was it was smaller, much smaller, and it's lighter. Again, I don't have the specs on it, but this was the Big Agnes Air Core, Ultra Air Core, and this was a bigger size. It's the 25 by 72, which I think was a little bit wider than the other sizes they had, which again, just a little bit more space, and it fit fine in my my two-person tent. And then I don't always use this, but it's just a little self-inflating pillow. Sometimes I just throw my extra clothes in with the bag, or a pillowcase sometimes I'll take. So then the next thing I'll talk about is my gaiters. There's no way I can imagine going on an elk hunt without a set of gaiters. Especially where we go, I just can't imagine it. These are like the best thing that you need, and I read about that when I went on my first hunt. I did a lot of research, and I would probably early season not recommend these ones. These are the Redhead. There's an old pair I bought used. I bought them used on online for like $15, I think. They're great and they work awesome. They're just a little thick for early season. So a lot of times what I end up doing is early morning, if I get through the meadows that we're walking, or even in the mountain, the grass is tall in a lot of areas, and it's all dew covered. If you don't have gaiters on, your pants are gonna get soaked, and your socks are gonna get soaked, and you're gonna get blisters in your feet. It'd be a nightmare. So usually when the sun comes up, and it's pretty much sunny almost every day I've been on my trips, give or take one or two, and things dry up, I take those off because it gets hot. Take them off and put them in my backpack, and they've always kept me dry. I've not had an issue with my socks getting wet ever, not one time, and we've walked through a lot of wet stuff. So maybe going from there, I'll go to my shoes, or my boots, and I'm guessing these will probably be the last season with these. I mean, they're still in okay shape. These are my Solomon's GTX. God, I got these for a few years ago, but I've mostly only used these on my elk hunts. A little bit, maybe doing a couple other things at home, in the woods per se, but mostly just 2 elk hunts. And they got wear on them, there's no doubt. There's wear on those, but I think they'll get me through another elk hunt. They're super comfortable, and I think like any research you do on boots, you just gotta try them on. You can't ask what other people say is good or bad, so you need to try them on and see how they feel. But as far as quality, so far those Solomons are a great buy, and they've lasted me, and I got those on sale as well. You just gotta look for sales. So I think I'll go to, let's see, we'll go to my clothes next. some more of my clothes. And so the one thing that I really probably will spend money on the next time, and I just never did for this trip, I don't know why, but is pants. I bring 2 pairs of camouflage pants with me, and these are they're uninsulated, but they're kind of rugged, and they can get hot a little bit, but these are one of these is just a Cabela's brand, and then I have another pair of the Recons. And they're great pants, but I think I would spend money and buy a lighter pair next time in case it was really hot, because I do remember getting a little hot in them, especially when you have the gaiters on and you're just doing a lot of hiking. It would be nice to have a lighter pair that weren't as heavy. Even though they're uninsulated, they're still kind of heavy. For my tops, I have 2 sets of camo Mothwing t-shirts that I'm wearing that I might hike in, just depends on the weather, or even switch to if it gets really hot. So I'll bring 2 pairs of those, and then I bring 2 pairs. These are the Core 4 Element long sleeves. These are merino wool. These are the main things I wear my whole hunt. I have 2 pairs of the long sleeves. They're the zip downs. One is like 190 weight, I believe, and then the other one's like 230, I think. So one's just a little bit heavier than the other, and it's actually only heavier everywhere except on the sides, where you're breathing a little bit and sweating more. And that's 190, I believe, on the sides. This has gotten me through my hunts. This is my camo. This is what I wear most of the time. A lot of times if it's cool out, I'll wear the lighter one underneath, or maybe a t-shirt underneath, and then the heavier one on top until I get too hot. The one other thing I bought this year, that again got this on sale, is this is from Black Ovis, and this is another merino wool. This is a hoodie. It's a zip up, and it's this is the 250, I believe, 250 weight, and so it's not heavy, but it is kind of thick a little bit. And this, I'm probably going to sleep in this if it gets real cold, and if it's real cold if it's cold in the morning, where I don't really need a puffy at all, which most mornings I'm not. I very rarely ever had to wear a puffy. I'll throw this on over everything until it starts to get hot. And so this thing, I think this is going to be great because it's going to keep me warm. Like I said, I can wear this at night and then change out in the morning if it's not too cold. Speaking of my puffy, again, something I did not spend a lot of money on, and I'm kind of glad because I don't really need it much. I've maybe worn it once or twice. And this is really just by APX, and it's a synthetic. It's not down, it's a synthetic puffy. It folds up real good, and it keeps you warm. You know, if it got real cold at night, I could always throw this on. Early morning, getting up going, I might throw it on. But honestly, it's a little noisy. You know, it's not super quiet if you're brushing up against branches, but honestly, I don't think I hunted in it one time. I might have walked up a little bit of ways, but it wasn't on me very much. So the puffy, I definitely have it with me if it's going to be cold, but during the day, obviously, I'm not bringing it with me. I have my First Light beanie and First Light gaiter, and these are one of my 2 favorite pieces of hunting gear that I own as far as clothing goes. Those are my Under Armour gloves. I wear these during whitetail season. I wear the gaiter, pull the gaiter up over my face. This is what I wear a lot. These things are so little and perfect for elk hunting. They're so lightweight and breathable, and again, merino wool, and just packable. I mean, I could put these in my pocket. I mean, they're just tiny, but they keep you warm. There's just one thing about merino wool is it keeps you warm and it doesn't stink. And those are key things with elk hunting, anyways. And then, like I said, I'll bring a couple pairs of gloves, my Under Armour gloves. I don't wear those a lot, but if it gets cool. And so, as far as my hunting clothes, I do have my package of socks. I mean, I don't have my regular clothes with me, so I have hiking socks in here. There's a few pairs in here with liners. Another thing is key. I'm sure anybody that goes hiking knows it. The thin liners underneath, the breathable liners, really help keep you from getting blisters. I've never got a blister on one trip. Not that I hike 8 miles and 10 miles a day, but we do pretty enough hiking that I haven't got one blister yet, knock on wood. So I don't have my regular clothes here, which are going to get packed and put in one of my smaller backpack, but that'll be my pairs of underwear, my camp clothes, a couple t-shirts, one long sleeve, a pullover sweatshirt, another pair, probably a pair of flip-flops, which I should have brought here, but those I put in my bag just to walk around camp if you're on the side of the mountain camping, get your feet out of your hiking boots. I just bring flip-flops with me usually. Well, they're not really flip-flops, but they're like those. And that's pretty much it for my clothes. I have a hat that I'll bring. Oh, well, I forgot my rain gear. So my rain gear, again, I got this a while ago on sale. It's a packable by Rocky. And again, it's not super quiet. It's not as loud as it probably sounds right now, because when I have it on, it really isn't too bad. But it's still a little crinkly. It's super lightweight and packable. And honestly, again, this is something else. I guess I'm lucky, but I've not had. I have my pants and my jacket all fit, and they give you these little cases. This is the not sure what the name of this one is. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but it's a Rocky brand. It's a packable rain gear. And honestly, I've never even, I put this on a couple times, that's it. Our last hunt, like 2 years ago, it didn't rain one day. I mean, if it did, it wasn't when we were hunting, that I remember anyways. So I do bring that though anyway. Sometimes I might only, if I'm going hiking up and it's not really forecast for rain, I might just bring my top if I need room in my bag. I might not even bring the pants. And that's it, pretty much it for clothes. Go over bring my binoculars, which are my Nikons. I've had these things forever. These are the Nikon Mardex, and I love these. My trekking poles. My trekking poles, honestly, did not use these a lot, but these are key, I feel anyways, if you're packing out. And more so to go to rest on. Sounds a little crazy, but more to rest on when you're trying to get a quarter out or whatever. And if you have a lot of hiking to do with it, it can be really helpful. I know I've been on other trips backpacking without a quarter on, just a 50-pound bag, and those came in super handy. But I bring those, and I'll have them with me. I honestly don't use them a lot where we were, but it's something you want to have. I have some miscellaneous stuff here. I'll bring an extra cinch down bag, or waterproof bag, I should say. I'll bring that. I bring extra big Ziploc bags with me and stuff. Everything goes in Ziplocs. It's pretty much how I pack my clothes, especially once I've scent-proofed them as much as I can. I'll put them in a Ziploc, keep them as flat as I can. There's 2 shirts in here. Each pant is in a bag. These will get put in a bag, probably with the short sleeves, maybe. Short sleeves, my socks, underwear, everything in Ziploc bags. So I have my rangefinder, which I actually don't have here right now. It's downstairs because I was just shooting. I'm trying some new broadheads that our archery dealer, the guy that runs our local shop, gave me to try out, and the name is escaping me right now, so I'll have to put that on after. Maybe I'll add it at the end, some of the details of some of this gear. But these are my broadheads I'm going to be taking. I have this will be the knife that's on my skinning knife that's going to be on my belt. And one thing I'm really annoyed with right now is my actual surgical blade kit. It's like a Havilon knife, but it's a little bit different brand. I can't find it. I've never even used it, and I had it packed already, and I'm not able to find it. I've been going crazy in my house, so hopefully I'm going to find that before I leave. Of course, some miscellaneous stuff like paracord, and I got my wing checker. This is a flashlight that's really good for that you can hang, and it actually works as a lantern and a flashlight for in your tent. I don't always bring that with me, but sometimes I might. Depends how much gear I have. Couple of hat clips. I have a headlamp that must be downstairs. I don't see it up here. So I have my headlamp. My Sea to Summit. This is my microfiber towel that I bring with me. I think this is the medium size. I love this thing. It's great. You want to wash your body down or whatever, and then dry yourself. This thing is quick dry. You know, these microfibers real quick dry. For my water system, water purification, I'm bringing a SteriPen this year. And I have I keep in this bag my Sawyer Squeeze, which I've used a bunch of times. I actually have a couple of these because I think I gotta bring my friends in here, but I got this and a couple of things, dirty bag and stuff in here for the Sawyer Squeeze. So I got 2 things for water purification. My GoPro, and I'll bring. Then for eating, I have my jet boil, and I'll bring like 2 or 3 of the propane tanks. Actually, usually my friends bring most of those. I don't really have to bring too much of those. And then I'll bring a cup, some hand sanitizer. Oh, and this is my Alaskan Guide Cabela's headlamp, which is pretty good. I like this one. And then let's see what else here. I bring a bowl just to eat out of. A bowl. This is the cup. Jet boil, which is awesome. Get the utensils on the side. What else here for eating? I think that's pretty much it for eating that I bring with me. Again, like I said, these guys are going to be coming with a lot of stuff. We're going to have food to eat at base camp. They're bringing all kinds of food. Most of the stuff that I'm like bringing for myself is all stuff that I would, you know, for hunting and for if I'm going to pack in for a few days. And so as far as food goes, I have some stuff that I haven't packed up yet, but I'm going to prepare some lunches and breakfasts in some bags. So I get some oatmeal. And let's see, I got some trail mix I'm going to be making up. Everybody uses trail mix. Pop-Tarts for breakfast. So I get a choice for a Pop-Tart. You know, there's like, I think these have like 200 calories in them. I don't count and trying to add up and get, you know, 2,000 calories or 1,000 calories that, you know, they supposedly need. But I just try and get as much as I can. I did find on every hunt that I've gone on, I've been able to stay hydrated, knock on wood. So food-wise, I just try and, you know, you can go on YouTube and there's tons of guys that will give you all kinds of things that you can eat and pack. And I just kind of been changing things as I go a little here and there. But somewhat similar. So I can have like for breakfast I could have some oatmeal, a Pop-Tart. I'm trying these new which ones are these? The RX bars. Not new, but they're new to me. Get a protein bar, but this one's got like egg whites, almonds, cashews, and dates in it. So if I want something real quick in the morning for breakfast or something, I could throw one of these down. You know, and these are pretty good. I forget how many calories they have. A little over 200 calories. So even if you just have one of those. Also for in the morning, if I'm heating up, I'll heat up. I don't drink coffee, so a thing of hot chocolate or one of these are really good. Spiced apple cider. Just throw a little bit in the water you heat up in jet boil, and these are like 80 calories each. So if you have one of these and either an oatmeal or a Pop-Tart or one of those bars, I'm over 300 calories right there just before I even start walking, so that's pretty good. And then for lunches, I'll have probably, you know, again, you do the bagel and peanut butter or honey spread, mixing with crackers and cheese and stuff like that. But I'm going to try these Epic bars that somebody turned me on to. It's kind of like the jerky, and they're pretty good. They're, you know, they have some protein in them, and they have 170 calories. Yeah, 170 calories for each for these. So throw one of these in with some other stuff, you know, it'll add up, good lunch break. I also got these Lara bars. Again, it's just kind of a protein bar, but I figure this is for a good snack, either late in the morning or for lunch, or in the afternoon when you're still on the mountain before dinner. And these are just like, these are the banana chocolate chip ones. And these have about 200 calories a bar as well. And so, got flavored water. You always want something to flavor your water with. That helps, because you got to drink a ton of water. And I just grabbed a few Mountain Houses. I know they have some Mountain Houses with them, but I love those. There's some that taste so good, and there are some that are so great you can flow it. I like to throw them in a tortilla and just kind of eat them in there, like the chicken fried rice, or there's the fajita one, and they're great to eat like that on the mountain. And so that is most of my gear that's going to be getting packed and going. I mean, there's a few things that I don't have up here, but this is most of everything. I got my bugle tube that I wish I was better with, but I'm okay. Couple calls over here. I got my reed calls. Those all go in my bag. Get extra Ziplocs. One other thing I should talk about is I do other stuff they have. I do have some of my wipes. I always bring a ton of wipes, scent-free wipes. And then I'll pack, I have a small pack of like ibuprofen and some, you know, Tylenol, gas pills, you name it. There's a bunch of drugs in that little thing. And then this is like my little mini, this is my mini first aid kit. I know at least 3 of the guys I'm going with have like real good first aid kits. But if I was by myself or they forgot it or something, this is something I just keep in my bag. And I'm probably going to add to it. But I have some gauze, some antiseptic, some alcohol wipes, some different size Band-Aids, some big ones. And then I have 2 that my wife got for me, these 2, it's a topical skin adhesive. It's basically medical glue. And so if you have a big cut, you can glue it up. And there's 2 different ones here. And this is pretty much all this pack is for me, is if somebody cut their hand pretty bad, or fell or ripped their knee open or something like that, or their elbow. And this would take care of it right away on the mountain. Like I said, we have more, we have other real first aid kits with more stuff in them. And then this is something I'm probably going to make a little bit smaller. This is my fire starter kit that I always have when I go hiking. And it pretty much has this bag of fire starter stuff that works amazing. There's waterproof matches in here. There's a lighter in here. There's dryer lint that I've saved just in case to get a fire going. We actually used this one time when we were wanted to have lunch one time. We needed it, and we used some of this stuff. So this is pretty much that if for some reason I needed to get a fire and I was on the side of the mountain, boom. I'm probably gonna make this a little bit smaller, but I usually put all of this stuff in my hood. I tuck that in on the top of the hood with like my gloves and hats and stuff like that. And any other small things, a little towel, maybe, and some wipes. That all goes up on the top lid. I shouldn't say the hood, but the lid. And so I think the next thing to talk about, is my 2 backpacks, real quick. So I'll talk about my pack. Not gonna go crazy detail, but this is a brand new pack. And so the first 2 trips, I had a Tenzing 5000, and that pack's awesome for storage, a lot of compartments, durable bag, a lot of good accessories with it and everything, and it actually rode pretty well on my back. I used it quite a few times, not just for hunting, but backpacking. But it's just heavy. It's over between 7 and 8 pounds empty. And I felt like it didn't pack down well. For some reason, it packed way out away from your back. And it just was easy to overload it. I don't know. But I just said to myself, my next trip, I'm going to get another pack. And I spent forever trying to figure out what pack I was going to get. I was not going to spend $400 or $600 on a backpack. I'm almost 50 years old. I don't know how many times I'm going to be going elk hunting again. Although I do still go hiking. I just couldn't bring myself to spend a lot of money on another pack. Right now I've been going elk hunting every 2 years. for the last 6 years or whatever. So, you know, I don't know how long that's going to go, and again, it's not that often. So I basically sold my pack for like a couple $100, I think, and I bought this one. I was going to get the new Badlands Avio system, I think it's called, and the VO system, I forget how it's pronounced, but it's a separate frame, and then you add bags to it, and that ended up getting a little heavy, and it's pricey too, but I had someone that was able to get a discount from them. So I had set on that pack, and there's a few reasons I changed my mind at the end, and I ended up finding, and I mean, I looked everywhere, and this is a pack by Slumberjack. And my thing is, I didn't want a huge pack, but I didn't want to get like a 3,000 cubic inch pack and not be able to carry meat or even have enough room for food. And so this one has about 4,000, I think it is. The SJK. I think that's the model anyways. But it's made by Slumberjack. And this basically has one big main compartment here. It has a hood with a compartment. It has two wings that come out. You can actually tuck stuff in here and pack, and you can fill them. One big one that I put my tent poles in. I don't have a spotting scope, which is kind of made for, so I can put my tent poles and other things in there. And then this side has two small pockets that are actually pretty big. I shouldn't say small, but they're cut in half. And then that's it for compartments. But then it has this detachable meat shelf, which I'll be honest with you, I've already tested it, and it is super strong. So I pretty much can use this as my meat bag. It's got a frame, solid frame, 2-stay frame right here. You can see. But you can still have your gear in the bag and adjust this and put your quarter in or whatever on the back. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted some way to be able to carry meat. I didn't like the way the Tenzing had the meat go in between your back and the bag itself. There was a compartment. It just wasn't very big. And so this is not too big of a bag. It's not heavy. I believe this is around 5 pounds. I forget exactly how much it weighs. It's definitely not over 7, I know that. And it's got one compartment. It's got one compartment on one side of the waist belt. The other side does not have one, but you can put a holster and you can put a gun in there as well if you want. I don't take one with me, but and it has a compartment for your bladder, your water bladder in there. And there's one like zipped up area inside, but it's pretty much just a big top loading bag. So far I like it, the way I packed it. I have not really done any hiking with it other than just kind of work it out with it a little bit. So this will be a good test for it. And then my other bag, which is I think less than 2,000 cubic inches, this is the Badlands bag. And this is what I used for my day bag at what last trip. I love this bag, and you think I know the name of it. I forget, the Point. I think this is the Point. And this is a top loader. It's got this extra attachment here. Again, you can actually put something in here if you wanted to. I don't think it would hold a quarter, but it's got side compartments, a top, front. A lid. It's got an entry in there, and that's pretty much it. Some webbing. It's got pockets on the sides, but this is a smaller bag. And I could almost fit like a night or two worth of stuff in here, but not really. So that's why I needed something more durable and bigger. But this is great. It's got a pop out for your bow, and I love this for a day bag. You know, if I'm hiking up and spending overnight hunting, then I'm only gonna have this Slumberjack, which is why I didn't want another big heavy bag if I needed to use it for a day bag. But coming from base camp, if I'm not spiking out on the mountain, this is the bag I would use right here, and I would just fit whatever I could in there to take out, you know, if we got lucky to get an animal down, take out whatever meat we could with this, and then I'd come back with that one and other pack bags that we have at camp, the other guys have. So this is a great bag for anything, but it's great for a day elk hunt. You can fit a lot in here, extra clothes and food and stuff. And so that's it for bags, and that's it for my gear pretty much. Like I said, there's other miscellaneous things that I'm just forgetting that's not here right now. But I think the key thing is that, like, as you probably saw, none of this is like super name brand stuff, and none of it is expensive. But it has got me by, and it's done really well for 2 hunts anyways. I mean, if you're somebody that's hunting, that lives out there and hunts every year and hunts more than a week or two, and we're usually out there for 10 days, then maybe, yeah, you need some more durable stuff. But I'll be honest with you, this stuff has worked just fine for me, and I've taken in some rough places. And most of this is pretty much what I've used. A different pack this year, a different sleeping pad that I changed, a little bit, some different clothes a little bit, but I think pretty much everything else I've used for all 3 trips. So if you have any questions, I really did this because people are always asking me, and I've just never put it on my page, and I always say, oh, I'm going to post something with all the gear that I use, that I take, and you know, I've just never done it. So I just figured I had my stuff laid out. I said I'll take a quick video and go through my stuff.